Hello, and welcome to the Food Adventures channel. Today, we're going to have a ramen challenge. We're going to have cheap ramen versus more expensive ramen. We're going to do it over the next course of a few days. And it's going to be like dinner ramen, enough for dinner. So we're going to have $3 ramen versus maybe like a $15, $20 ramen. There isn't like $100 ramen around here. If there was, I'd probably go try it out. But $3 ramen versus maybe like $15, $20 ramen. Where do you get $3 ramen enough to fill you up for a meal? Well, you go buy the Shin Ramen, 3 packs of it at the store for $3. Then you cook it all in this one gigantic bowl here, and you eat it for dinner. Now, the noodles look pretty nice, and the ramen actually looks pretty tasty. Even though I cooked 3 packs of noodles, I only used 1.3 packs of seasoning, so I didn't use most of the seasonings. There's too much salt if you use it. And I had some like, the mushrooms and the stylish stuff like that. First of all, it is a hefty large bowl, so there's definitely enough food. Look at the size of this bowl. Compare it to the size of a regular bowl. This is the size of a regular green bowl, and this is the size of the bowl that I have all my ramen in. You can see it's significantly bigger, packs a punch, a lot of calories, a lot of food for $3. But how does it taste? We have to partake in some of the dressings for a few toppings. The thing about when you buy ramen from the store is it doesn't have many toppings on the ramen, like unlike Tongetsu or something you buy from a ramen shop. It has these little mushroom thingies on it, and not bad. I actually like the taste of the mushrooms of the Shin Ramen. The other stuff, like the little bits of meat, they really don't have much flavor. They don't have much taste. So they're kind of like a meh thing. So the toppings of the Shin Ramen definitely aren't top class, and they're not going to be able to match, obviously, the toppings of restaurant ramen that tries to be Japanese. Because this thing that comes on top of the ramen is definitely a big part of the ramen, and you don't really get that with like store-bought ramen for like $1 a pack. So next we have to go to the ramen broth. Just lift it. The broth is a bit salty. I don't think I put enough water in here, but to get everything to fit into this one bowl, I do have a decent amount of broth, but I actually like the taste of the broth. It's just a bit salty. I probably only should have used 1 packet instead of 1.3 packets. That's another thing. If you're cooking multiple packs of Shin Ramen, only use part of the packets. 1 pack is usually enough seasoning for however many multiple ramens you have. You can see that the noodles themselves are pretty sturdy. And so let's have a taste. I think I cooked them a little too long, so they're a little soft. But they still pack a really good taste to them. I think noodles, like, having had restaurant ramen before, or having had Shin Ramen noodles, I actually don't know a lot of times which one I would prefer. Shin Ramen noodles, of all the store-bought ramen noodles that you cook yourselves, are probably the highest quality noodles. And they're pretty dang close to restaurant quality noodles for like an average ramen restaurant. Now, I'm sure if I went to LA or San Francisco or Japan, obviously, they'd be better noodles. But the Shin Ramen noodles themselves are actually very tasty. So I have to give a thumbs up to the thin Shin Ramen noodles. Now, the amount of food, I think the Shin Ramen wins. Just look at this giant bowl for $3. You can't get better value than that. I can finish this bowl, but it will fill me up for several hours. So $3 ramen, I'd probably like Shin Ramen, $3 ramen, like based on the soup, the lack of toppings, but the good noodles, I'd probably give it something like an 81 out of 100. Decent meal, but definitely like not top of the line. And so that's the comparison for the taste of Shin Ramen, its toppings, its noodles, and its broth. A solid compact meal, but nothing extremely special, but only for $3, so it's very, very good value for the money. Tasty, tasty ramen. So from here, we're going to head out to the restaurant ramen and see how that compares for the price for the Shin Ramen, and we'll come out with a winner. All right, that is this segment of the video, and let's head over to the ramen restaurant. All right, for any ramen, we have to taste the broth first. Spicy, yet delicious. This broth is quite good. Oh, shoot. Let's see how the stuff inside tastes. We have these pork grinds. Crunchy. Soak it in the broth. Extremely crunchy. Quite good. It's quite delicious. What about the meat? It's good. It's actually a lot better than most ground beef or pork I've had. It's quite fresh, and I like it a lot. The wood ears, just regular wood ears. Pretty tasty, honestly. Pretty tasty. Got some water. And now, this Chinese zapcai thing. I like that a lot. That is a very, very good taste. It's sort of like kimchi, but not quite. So that is the Chinese zapcai thing. The broth was really good. The broth was really good, so I'm going to have to take another sip. That is quite delicious. That is quite delicious. So now, of course, we gotta taste the noodles. So mix it up a bit. Mix it up a bit. And let's taste the noodles. It's very, very firm. It's extremely firm. I like the kind of like the hardness of it. It makes it very, very tasty. If you combine it with all the ingredients in this bowl, I mean, let's try the red stuff too. Pretty good, pretty good. You combine it with all the stuff in this bowl, you take a bite. It is quite delicious. As for the amount, not quite as much as the 3 packets I had the other day, but still a decent amount. Probably will need like a Snickers bar or something after this. But overall, a very, very tasty bowl of ramen. All right, after this video, we will decide which one of these two is better for the price. Yo, so I just got back from the ramen place, and I have to say, the amount of ramen we got was pretty disappointing. The amount of ramen I got is really, really disappointing. And even though the ramen tasted good, and there were definitely more toppings than the Shin Ramen, I got a lot more ramen for $3 from the Shin Ramen than the $14 ramen bowl. It was $16 with tax and tip. And from what I can actually gather from my tasting of it, it did taste good, but it could have been much better, and they should have given a little more for that price. So despite it having toppings and the ramen actually tasting better, I have to give the winner to the 3 packets of Shin Ramen for $3 I ate, because I can get 5 of those meals for the price of 1. And value-wise, yes, while that ramen did taste better, it wasn't overwhelmingly good. So my judgment is that the Shin Ramen beats the $14 ramen at Strings Ramen I had. Strings Ramen is still pretty good for ramen, but I have to give the winner to the Shin Ramen because of the value aspect. All right, that is today's episode. Next time, maybe we'll do donuts, pizza, another buffet, but I will see you guys next time.